Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Daggerfall Ironman. I feel like at the start of every episode I'm adjusting my mic, and I have no idea if it does anything to the audio, but if sometimes you hear me pause when I start talking, that's why. Oh, last time we left off. We had accepted a job to transport a guy around. We read out a backstory, and Anita continued her journey. Oh, so we're just gonna fling ourselves right up. I thought we were hungry. What's this? We left an arrow on the floor? This is what happens. I haven't played in a little bit. Yeah, I just wasn't really doing much today. I had finished dinner. I had some tea, which I'm still drinking, and I realized that I don't know where the door is. I found the door. I realized that I want to play some Daggerfall. And I'm going to try to have some more things to talk about, just so I'm not going, and thinking about things, and I'm going to put a conceited effort into reading things out loud. Mortis II of Sun's Heights. Slurton is a sick Nord who needs to get to Merkwasa to see Griv Eye to heal an incurable disease. I will be paid 280 gold for traveling there. So I believe... Oh, we're getting dizzy from the heat. Okay, we should just rest then until it's night. I'm healed already. 6 hours, maybe. We at least want the sun to start setting before we go. Oh, our rest was excellent. We got all these stat buffs as well. Okay. Do we have sandals or anything? We have sandals. Okay. So we are just gonna make our way toward this quest objective and keep playing. Did we get like way faster? I feel like our speed is crazy now. Oh my gosh. Just was hounding myself for saying and then I fall right back into that old trap. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about Daggerfall actually. I've been playing a couple other games and trying to increase my variety. I started playing Terraria again, and I really like that game. I'm a big fan of Terraria, but I don't know, there was just something about there's something about Daggerfall that I think is pulling me back. I was watching some YouTube videos talking about some of the other Elder Scrolls games and some people talking about game design. Cluster of spiders, not good. I've been watching some other people talking about it. I was watching Nakey Jakey's video. He's a much bigger person than I am, so I'm surprised if you're watching this and you haven't heard of him. But I was watching, I think, his video on Starfield, I think it was. And he was talking about like how that game is very procedurally generated and everything's the same and it's really boring. Whereas, and I thought it was interesting because if you think about that on paper, that sounds a lot like Daggerfall, a big game with all this procedural generation that can maybe seem not as deep in terms of its RPG-ness, but there's something about, I think this, I don't know, something about the way that the dungeons are and the characters and the enemies are all designed and the way you can build a character that feels really fresh. And obviously, I have not played Starfield. I haven't played a Bethesda game since, or a modern Bethesda game since Fallout 4. I think that was the most recent one I played. I had some friends who got into 76 sometime after it had came out, and more spiders. And they were kind of like, it was, kind of like friends. We're like, oh, hey, we're playing this game. You should come play this game. But I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me. I think those big online games that try to be very like MMO-y aren't the most fun for me. I'm very envious of like that in-game status, right? Like I've always been envious of MMO players. I think the people who've had one account and maybe have a handful of characters they've been playing and they do all the new content. Oh my god, 2 bears. 2 bears is a lot. 2 bears is a lot, but I think we got it. Indeed we do. Do we want raw meat? Okay, we're at our carrying capacity, but I think it's worthwhile maybe to cook some meat and eat it. Take one more piece and then we'll cook it. and then we'll rest. But I think that that like idea of that, like you could have a game that is maybe similar to something like Daggerfall, but it's you know, but you get to really you get to play it with other people. It seems very fun. I forgot to get on my horse. More bears? This is the bears and spiders zone, I guess. You know that famous part of the desert that's filled with bears and spiders? I almost wish they had some kind of bear variant for the desert areas. I think that would be kind of cool if there was some kind of alternate bear sprites or something for some of these areas. Like, it would be cool if you were in a very snowy region. Or like the north if there were polar bears. Oh, goodness. Get some lag here. That only happens when I'm recording. I think it's just a problem with the game, like, loading these different areas. Or the game moving. Excuse me, the game moving very quickly. As I was saying, I'm very envious of MMO, like, high-level MMO characters. My uncle played a lot of MMOs. I think my aunt played with him as well. Okay, this happens sometimes. Oh, it's such a shame because we're like 9 minutes away, literally. But if you ever are using any sort of traveling mods and you fall through the floor, just do that. Okay, where do I need to go? In here? I have to ask about them probably, but I think that those high-level MMO characters, what I was saying, I'm very envious of that. Like, you get to kind of inhabit a little world, and there are other players, and there are like player-made events and like groups and maybe like friendships you get to make. That's something that seems really cool on paper, but I think with like you know, if there was a game like Daggerfall and it was multiplayer and it was always coming out with new things, there'd be a lot of pressure, I think, to keep playing it. And no, that pressure can get really, I think, kind of consuming. You're Anita! Okay, so people are being assholes to me. I'm just trying to make my way in the world. But when a game has that kind of pressure, I think, built into it, it can be really hard for me to just sit down and enjoy it, because, you know, there's always that mounting feeling that you could be doing something different, or you could find something better, or even like, oh, you know, what, like, you know, you take a break and then you decide to play a different game, and then you come back. It's like, well, all these things have changed, or even just like, there's been new things, and the things that I like to use are not good anymore, or no one knows who this guy is. Oh my goodness. But, you know, I think that's a problem with games that are always updating and changing elements of themselves to try and improve. What? This guy is like... I feel like this guy, there's something wrong with this guy, because we keep asking about him, and no one knows. Just talk normally. Oh my goodness, okay. Southwest of where we're standing. Yeah. Can you just tell me? Okay, the Temple of Kinarath. Okay. But, you know, that just kind of happens when you have games that are really big and they update a bunch, I think, is that there might be an update you don't like, and then you don't want to play the game for a while, or, you know, they add a new mechanic that doesn't gel with how you like to play, or there's all these other elements that can weaken it, and you can kind of not be as interested in playing, because now suddenly these things you liked about the game aren't present, or the way you like to play isn't as valid, or, you know, like, preferred, and then you end up falling behind to people who are doing, oh, this shop looks awesome. Sorry. You end up falling behind to people who are like, you know, oh, I'm going to do this thing because this thing's optimal rather than this thing's fun. Which I think that mostly just comes down to how my own experience, and I'm not the most skilled gamer in the world, per se. Do I need these gloves? I guess they don't weigh that much. Can I get like an arm, like a chest plate that weighs less? Sorry, now I'm like assessing what I can buy here. That's better for me armor-wise, but yeah, maybe I can find a better chest plate somewhere. But what I was saying, like you can end up feeling like you're kind of being, you know, maybe not cheated, but at least you're like it's annoying. There was a period in my life when I played a lot of League of Legends, and I have a very weird relationship with it. There's some times where I picked it back up, and I've had fun with it, even not trying to be a good player at the game. But I went to this kind of this liberal arts school for my undergraduate program, and they had an esports team, sort of like a league with a couple different games, and they were trying to build that up, right? And I played on the League of Legends team because I knew someone who was involved with the esports program, and they needed someone to be an alternate for the team, so I kind of said sure. And then a little bit later, a little bit after that, somebody, I think, moved or left the team or was ill. Something like that happened. Maybe someone graduated early. But I was thrust into a main position. And, you know, it was fun to have an excuse to play a game like that all day, because it's fun, and it's like fun to work toward a goal in a game like that. Because I think that's another problem I have with the big online games, is I'm not as interested in the goals where it's like the battle pass system. I think, like, especially when there's nothing really interesting, which in my opinion a lot of times there's cosmetics and stuff, there's nothing really grabs me. If there's something that I really want, then it feels like I'm like burning hours away to get toward it. But it was fun to be like, okay, I'm gonna work on getting better and improving the number of characters I can play in this game, this competitive game. And it just kind of became a slog, and I won some games. I played against some really high, like, ranked players in that game, and I love playing slow tanks, so I would just, you know, I would outlast them. I'd like play games of attrition, and it was really fun to play the game in that way, where you come across someone who has a really high, you know, they can click all the buttons really fast, they have a high amount of skill with their combos, and they understand matchups really well, but you get to a point where you're like, okay, I just have more health than you, so how do I win the situation? And it's by slowly whittling them down and playing defensive until you have an opportunity to strike. And then that was really fun, and we won some games. And then the balance of the game changed. So it really valued characters to be very high damage and very bursty. And my role as someone who only liked playing tanks was put under kind of, not like scrupulation, but there was a level of concern, I suppose, of like, okay, well, we're putting a lot of resources into this, but you should put your resources into something else. And so I was sort of like, you should try playing supportive characters because they can be tanky. And I don't know, I just didn't have fun. Particularly, I didn't like having to be in direct communication with someone, especially someone who I didn't know very well and who I wasn't very like close to. And it just kind of got less and less fun until I stopped playing. I picked it up again, and I played with a friend who was on the team before they graduated, and that was really fun. It's fun to just go on and be like, I'm going to play whoever I want, I'm going to do whatever I want. But, you know, the games aren't necessarily built around that, because it's impossible to have rosters of characters that big and have them all feel equally fun for everyone. I went a bit on a game design tangent, or personal opinion tangent, but let's see what happens when we try to get this guy cured. Hello, how can I help you? Slurton gives an explanation of the symptoms from the last several days. Krivy listens intently, showing signs of concern, and then asks to conduct a more thorough examination. After casting a few spells, she jumps back in alarm. What have you done? Who have you offended? These are no ordinary wounds. You carry an illness of a Daedra. Slurton looks ashamed and asks how much the cure will cost. There is no cure. Within a few days, you'll become contagious and infect everyone you touch with the same plague, and the same plague will cover Mirgwasa. You are now a mere vessel of the Daedric, only and thousands will suffer. The only cure for one of your kind is death, and where I not sworn to heal, I would administer that death to you without remorse. Gravid looks at you expecting, hoping you will be brave enough to take Slurton's life. For his part, he begins to beg. No, this is all out of proportion. You can't kill me. I know, we'll do something. I'll go flee off into the wilderness, never speak to another sentient being again. I'll live off rabbits and fruits. I'll keep away from every civilization. And Tamriel, please just give me life. The decision appears to be in your hands. Will you slay certain to end the plague here? How long until he becomes contagious? Within a few days. That's time for him to get away. I guess the risk is if he runs into a traveler and he spreads that plague to that traveler. This is a tricky question. This is a really tricky question. What would Anita do? Is Anita merciful? That's a question I don't think I've ever considered because we've been in all these situations. I mean, we're definitely willing to lead people into danger, but are we willing to just directly kill them? I'll go flee into the wilderness, never speak to another sentient being again. But he's contagious. Okay, wait. He's this is okay. There are some inconsistencies here. Hold on. Sorry, I'm like overanalyzing it, but you know, this is the fun part of these games, right? It's contagious, but he's a vessel of the Daedric. So there's a Daedra inside of him, but he's contagious? Why will they... I'm thinking about doing it. I think Anita would do it. I think because there's that... Because I think there's the idea, right, is that if she lets this guy go and then the plague spreads, it's like, who is she? She's the fool who let this happen. And that fear, I think, is a lot stronger for Anita than it is for maybe for me personally, because I think I would I'd consider sparing this man a lot. I think of like, is this truly the only way? But I think Anita has that gut fear impulse of rejection. Is he dead? Oh shit. Oh my god. No. Oh my god. Oh god, we just took the money. Hello. Do you have anything else to say? Well, that was brutal. Oh my god, how much gold did we have? I'm trying to remember how much a cart is, or a wagon. I think that should be our next, our next goal here. Oh man. That's definitely a brutal, brutal way to start off today. Thankfully it's raining, we're not gonna get too hot. I think my, well, the track I was on was completely derailed, but big games that update a lot, I think. For me, they have a habit of kind of getting worse every time, like worse over time, which I feel like happens to a lot of things. I think there are some big companies that seem like they ebb and flow in terms of quality, but like a lot of things I feel like are getting less and less sort of engaging and interesting as they go, and obviously there's an extent to which perhaps the games I chose to play over the last, you know, like last year or so were not the best, but I don't know, there was just that kind of disillusionment with that kind of stuff, I think, and it feels like every time one of my devices updates, I like how it looks less and less, and I'm less excited about, you know, oh, they're doing this new technology. We can definitely afford a wagon. Yeah, we can definitely afford that. Let's buy a wagon. Maybe we can buy... Yeah, maybe we'll see what else we can get here, but... Get that wagon here. Get another bandage. Get these 8 beautiful bandages. Or millions of them, or whatever. Okay, so we now have a wagon. We can store some stuff in that wagon, which is very good. Getting the wagon, I think, is a huge upgrade for your character here. Put all our money in there. We'll put our joke book in there, our garbage little joke book. And Maybe we'll put one of these water skins in there. And we'll put maybe 5 rations in there. We'll put 4. We'll carry 10 rations on us, and when we run out, we can... Those things don't restack. Interesting. But maybe we can go back and take that out if we need. But what I was saying is that I feel like a lot of things, like design-wise, are getting kind of worse. And I'm not sure why. Like I for a while I was using the built-in video editor that comes with Windows computers. And it was fine. It worked. The transitions were maybe a little rocky. Like, I think that you can see them in those earlier videos. I don't have enough gold. Oh, because all my gold's in my wagon. I don't know why I said it like that. We have a letter of credit for 5 gold. Interesting. Okay, let's get a room for one night. Let's rest for 8 hours. Yeah, there was I was using that program, and it was doing me fine. I could put clips together, which was basically all I needed, was cut out some stuff, edit clips together. But I was exporting a video. I was just trying to export a video that I believe it was the last part. It was part 5. And it just, like, would not function. Is this the port town, by the way? This is the port town. Excellent. So that means we can sail. We can sail somewhere to Daggerfall. Where is Daggerfall? I feel like I'm definitely willing to take a port that's closer. Oh, Daggerfall is a port city. Yeah, we... so wait, where do we need to go? So for this quest... Oh, okay. It's in this letter. I gotta open the letter. Copperhouse Hall. Okay. So I gotta find Copperhouse Hall. Copperhouse Hall? Copperfield Manor? That's not what she said, is it? Copperhouse Hall. I just search copper. Am I... Oh, is it because I only had, Oh, it is because I only had the ports on. Okay, it'll take me 17 days to get there. But we're gonna start... We're gonna start by going to Daggerfall. I'm just gonna use this fast travel system, because I imagine we're gonna get on a boat. And we're going by boat. And we are made it to Daggerfall. I almost wish that it got you out at some kind of dock. How are we doing here? We might be okay with what we're wearing. But yeah, we made it all the way to Daggerfall now. Actually, I'm gonna put some of this extra stuff in the wagon for now. But definitely, definitely very excited. We're just gonna go right on our way here. Oh, this place is really populated, bustling with excitement here. We're gonna make our way right to Copperhouse, which takes 16 hours. So we need to go all the way. Okay, might have to look it up again. You can type it in really wrong and they still know what you're talking about. Okay, so I'm here. So I need to just kind of work my way up like that. Yep, we're just gonna take our little trip through the woods. But I was talking about with games and UIs and whatnot, is that everything kind of is getting... on one hand, elements are getting much easier, and I think for, like, people who maybe don't understand technology very well, maybe there's an advantage to, you know, having the dead simple version that comes with your device. Or even having the UI be much more simple. But I also think you can lose something in it, and I think the games, at least a lot of modern games that I've been playing, I think kind of have been suffering from this kind of, this habit of feeling like that they have to make sure that anyone can do it. And not to say that, like, difficulty shouldn't be in a game, but I think that there's definitely a value in having something like a mode that's called, like, the story mode, where you can just experience the story. But I feel like there's a lot of desire for the player to see everything. See a statue in the distance. Whoa. Oh, it's a big man. But and like Baldur's Gate 3, which I really had fun with. I played it with my partner. I played multiplayer. I played about a third of the game on my own. Like, I did Act 1 and I think some of Act 2 on my own, and I kind of I was struggling. I got it on the PlayStation because it was on sale. I got it on PlayStation 4, or I think it was 5 at that. I think I had 5 at that because I don't even know if it came out on 4. I had it on my PlayStation, and I enjoyed it, but I think I just was I was struggling a lot, and I was trying to approach it like it was a big D&D game. And I don't think that was necessarily entirely a mistake. I think you can definitely approach it like a big D&D game, but I think... Am I cold now? I think just in case, I'm going to put on... these tights. Actually... Maybe put on the formal cloak here, not instead of the tights. I feel like the tights don't look all that good, to be honest. Put up. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I thought it was very cool, and it seemed very open. Then I played it with my partner, and I realized that I was doing all of the same things I had done the first time. Where it did a good job at selling its illusions, but it was like, oh, these are illusions nonetheless. And I don't mind those kind of illusions, but I think I'd rather have a game, if it wants to be an RPG, right? I think I'd rather have a game that is much more interested in agency. And I'm willing to accept that you know, having games have agency isn't the most easy thing to implement, especially if you have really bad, like, crunch time. You know, your devs aren't, or the executives aren't giving you know, enough hours to really think about everything. Making a game is much more of a team effort and seems much more difficult than it was at one point. Like, I mean, I imagine that there was a lot of heart and soul that went into Daggerfall, but like, a lot of the stuff here that I'm witnessing is due to the help of mods now, and still a lot of it even is very like ultimately there's a lot of things from Daggerfall that are like kind of cookie cuttered in across the whole world, and I think that works because you have a game like this that's huge. But you know, you'll play I played, I forgot what it was called. It was the Assassin's Creed game with the Vikings, and that had a really big world. But I think ultimately, right, I kind of realized that all the skills that I'm being tested with are the same skills. And the way that game did, like, leveling up, I think, I really didn't like. Because it was less of, you're working your way up to becoming a powerful, like, I guess you did become a powerful character. But it wasn't quite like you're progressing your skills, and more of you're unlocking new, like, abilities. Which, and I don't think necessarily that leveling up should just be like your axe goes up by 1. I love the perk system from Fallout 1 and 2, and pops up again in New Vegas in a way that's really well done. That system of you get some unique traits I really like, but there was stuff where it was like, oh, now you can charge up the axe, and then the charge up does more damage, or it's like, there was one that really broke the combat for me, which was when you attack, like when you're in combat, and you dodge something at the right timing, it slows down the world to kind of allow you to get an extra hit in. And on paper, I guess that seems like a very rewarding, interesting idea, kind of like the Breath of the Wild dodging almost, but I had been playing on the hardest difficulty of the game, and all of my dodges had to be pretty close to perfect. So like by that time when I got that ability, I was really just I was just already doing that for every single skill. I was doing that for every single dodge. I mean, it really just broke the combat. Because it just wasn't fun. Because everything, you know, I was slowing down everything. It was like the Matrix. It wasn't like being a Viking. And I kind of, I like these guys. These guys are cool. I kind of have a habit of enjoying games the most in the middle. Like, there are a lot of games that I don't actually quite finish. Oh my god! Well, I guess if I'm spending all this money on the room... Jesus, this place is expensive. Maybe I should have price checked it. I don't know, it's just... Eh. Oh, I got another letter. Okay. Is this an updated letter? Oh no, it's this one. I sent you a letter a week ago. I only hope it caught up with you. If this one crosses your path after you visited me on your way to see me in Copperhouse Hall, please do not take offense. As I mentioned in the previous letter, I am the Emperor's agent, Daggerfall. It is imperative that I speak with you. I've extended my stay at the Lion and Guard in Copperhouse Hall for 2 more weeks. Of course, there's a possibility that you have intentionally stunned me and shirked your duty to the Emperor. I hope that is not the case. If you fail to arrive, I will be forced to assume you are a traitor to His Imperial Majesty, Uriel Septum. Yours truly, Lady Maxim. Okay. Well, I missed the first deadline, but that is not the end of the world. I'm glad she extended her stay. I don't even know if she knew where I was. In the original game, I think that that letter, the tone maybe makes much more sense because you're already in Daggerfall. Enjoying your drum there? By the wolf, it's you! But anyways, by the end of that game, I felt way too powerful, and it broke the Viking, I think, fantasy a lot, which I don't think, you know, maybe that's not necessarily a deal breaker for some people. Like, maybe you didn't come to the game with the intention of if you are ill, may Kennereth bless you. Okay. But, like, I'm not expecting every game to be, like, super simulation-y or super, like, you are this type of character and you're gonna, you know, live with it whether you like it or not. But, I don't know, there was a real, I think, uninterest in the game, especially by the end, of even being concerned with this idea that you are a Viking. Because there are the parts I really liked. It was like the middle of the game, I think, before it had its illusions shattered. Because there was definitely a moment when I realized, oh wait, I'm not making choices, which is the worst thing to realize. Because even if I play a game and I don't realize I'm making choices, like if I'm trying to make choices and I realize I'm not really making any, if I've already kind of completed the game and I had a lot of fun, I'm much more willing to forgive it. And if it doesn't kind of constantly dangle, you know, oh, what's gonna happen next? This, you know, pull you along with its, with a story, right? But the real thing is that game was just all about a big story. There was big cutscenes and big plot, and it was all plot, plot, plot. And then I got to the end and I realized that I wasn't doing anything in the plot, actually. And none of it mattered. And in that game, you're a Viking and you have a sibling. And because I chose the female Viking, it was my brother. And your brother, he's kind of he's very well liked by your group, but you're also pretty well liked. So there's sort of that, like, you're both well respected. You run off from your I think it's Norway. I think it might be. But you sort of separate from your clan when there's a disagreement about how to handle assimilation into an invading force. And then you and your brother strike out on your own, and you found a village. And then part of the game is building up the village, which at first seemed really exciting, and I'd sort of dip my toes into it every once in a while. But when I got to the end, it was one of those things where I realized that I wasn't building up a village. I was putting in... I basically just got to choose, like, where does the chicken coop go? I didn't get to choose, like, okay, is my town going to be a town that produces poultry? And, ooh. And I'm not necessarily saying that every game has to have, as I was saying, these, like, deep, in-depth simulation systems that are very concerned with, okay, well, if your town produces poultry, how do you cook your poultry? You know, that kind of thing. Or how do you distribute the poultry? But the game was, like, kind of telling you, like, okay, part of this game is that you are building a village that people live in. And, you know, you help people and they respond to that. And sort of over time, you get more, you get kind of more people who want to be in your village. And they have all these characters and they all kind of have their own side quests and stuff. But it kind of didn't matter. And not saying that the game needed to have this, like, amazingly deep, everyone's important to the story type system, right? But I think it kind of just was all very, like, hollow. Which is funny, because I'm playing Daggerfall, which is a game that doesn't have much going on under the hood, right? But I like these things. Those are butterflies or something. But, you know, the base layer here is really fun. There's a lot to enjoy here about the exploration and the combat and the vastness, which I think was definitely something that Assassin's Creed game was trying to emulate. Really, it just kind of fell flat often, because its main drive was that, oh, you have this relationship with your brother. And there was a lot of stuff going on that I think made the story really, really interesting from, you know, from the perspective of, oh, how is this going to impact the town and our relationship? And those things were just not important, it seemed, to the game. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. But those things were just not important to the game. It seemed the game was more interested in clicking itself in with this big Assassin's Creed story. Which I'm sure if you've played all the other games, you don't notice that, and you enjoy, like, oh, it's all, and this character was actually important for this reason, and is gonna... Okay, that guy was weird. Are you gonna fight me? Oh my god, okay. I just have this trail of people trying to murder me. I don't think our character's going to be staying in Daggerfall for very long. These people don't seem very friendly. But anyways, what was I saying? A lot of this game is about your relationship with your brother, and it didn't do the things that I think Daggerfall does well. Which it's like, because Daggerfall is so open and a little ambiguous in terms of, like, you know, what's going on here, actually? You know, what is this place really for? It allows you to think more. You know, you can go to each dungeon, you can wonder, what's the story here? Why are these types of enemies here? But that Assassin's Creed game, it wasn't so interested, because it had these it had very simple enemies who were part of pre-established factions. And a lot of the main game was just conquering places to build your kingdom and your alliances. And it worked for like one area, I think. And all the other ones, it just didn't quite work. And you're so wrapped up in what's going to happen with my brother, because he gets kidnapped and then you save him, and he's kind of he's not fully there. He kind of claims to be the offspring of a god, and that's sort of your conflict between the two siblings now, is that you have had to lead this village while he's been gone. I'm gonna do a little thievery here. So you've had to lead the village while he was gone, and you're very you end up actually being a leader for your people in a way that he never got to be, because pretty much right when you landed, he went off to make an ally and got kidnapped. And, you're kind of thinking, okay, this is where we're going. Okay, this is not where we're going, but I would definitely like to rest. And you get to the end, and it didn't really matter. Your brother always likes you at the end. Your people always like you in your village, and it's not very interesting. If the answer is your people always like you, and your brother always likes you, and everything goes great, and you're actually very important puzzle pieces in this large narrative that's going on for hundreds of years, then what did I do in the story? And I think the advantage of having a game that's so, like, simple in terms of how you interact with the story, it makes you feel much more active in the story, right? Because it's not like you did any of the things that you're doing because, the game necessarily says you have to. You did them because you chose to. You got a letter, and you read that letter, and you decided that, hey, actually, I'm going to sell this joke book. It's just taking up room in here. Can't carry any more stuff. Okay. Oh, I got to find just a general store to sell stuff to, actually. But that's not for right now. Nope. Wagon. Sell that joke book. I don't even care if I get it for less than I bought it for. I don't want it. Oh, I can sell stuff right from my way. I didn't even need to do that. Yeah, I don't care. Legal basics. The memory stone. I kind of want a book. I want something cheap, though. What do you got that's cheap? Oh my god, that legal book is expensive. Okay. If I maybe I'll I know I have a lot of money, but I don't want to spend a large amount of the money that I have on books until I kind of can feel as though my pockets are already adequately lined. But anyways, yeah. So in Daggerfall, I think it's very easy to feel excited about doing stuff. I think, anyways. Like not to say that there weren't exciting things to do in that Assassin's Creed game. I think there were at points. I really liked. They had kind of a mechanic where you could ride your boat down a river and then you could raid little towns, and that was pretty fun. But they never expanded that mechanic until you did further story missions. So it was sort of you'd play and you'd have fun until you hit a wall, and then you had to go do the story. And the joy with Daggerfall is that if you aren't feeling like doing the main quest, you can just kind of run off and do whatever, which I think is one of the big pros of Bethesda's games as a whole, right? Is that you don't really this is like the store trio. You never quite feel like you have to, even though the game says, "Oh, maybe you should." You don't have to, and that's kind of a charm, I think, in its own way. Might buy another bedroll here just so we don't run out. I think now when we have the excess gold, it's definitely worth making sure we're building up a stockpile of supplies if we ever get lost, Buy some more rations. Okay. But the game wouldn't really let you progress, I guess, until you did the main story. which I think is not really how you should be. You should make your game have other avenues of progression. You know, so even if you aren't super, you know, if you're not into the story, there's other stuff you can do. Because, like, with Skyrim, I gave up on the story. I was really bored by the main story. I wasn't that interested in being the Dragonborn. No offense. I'm sure there's fun to be had, and there's elements of it that are engaging. But I don't know. When I first played it, I was pretty young, and I just wasn't that grabbed by it. So I just never did it. Instead, I was like, okay, I'm an Argonian. I'm a magic. I'm like a mage. And I'm a magic. I'm a mage. And I'm gonna try to, you know, find every faction and do their quest. That was like my goal, because I'd heard from somewhere about like the Mages Guild, and I thought that sounded really cool. So my goal was to get into every faction and do every faction quest I could, you know, besides if there were any conflicts, which I don't think Skyrim has factions who won't like you if you join one. Like if you join one faction, maybe besides the what are they called? You can really tell I haven't played Skyrim in a long time because I only remember them as the red guys and the blue guys. Oh, am I stuck in here? What is happening? I can't see anything. Okay, I think we're out now. But sort of the Civil War storyline in that. I was still, I think, the only one that functions like that. But yeah, I did have just everything I could. And I looked up some guides on how to, I think, join like the Thieves' Dark Brotherhood or whatever. But that was very fun. And I had the fun I did, and I modded the game. And I had a good time. And I think that's a fine way to enjoy a game, honestly. If you don't care about the story and the game gives you the options not to interact with it, you absolutely don't have to. And Daggerfall seems so perfect. Whoa, that's a zombie. Daggerfall seems so perfect at just letting you go. Okay, you want to just buy a house and that's your character's long-term goal? You just want to not be homeless? That's fine. You can do other stuff. We have plenty of other things to do, and the game is built in such a way that ultimately the main quest is a suggestion that the game will provide to you. Of like, here's something you can do if you're lost, or if you don't know what to do, or if you want to get some levels. But I think the downside to that is that you can end up, you know, if you don't care about the story, you know, you end up with not as much motivation to play. I'm kind of just talking. I don't think I have a big end point here, but shows any one of these guys want to be my friends. You be my friend? You want to be my friend? Safe travels. But you know that desire to be motivated, I think, is a hard thing, and especially when a game is I think, watch out for bears now. Yeah, I've already run into bears. When a game is concerned with trying to be, I guess, very cinematic. You're taking the bear with you. Yeah. I like this guy. Sorry, I didn't really read about that, but there was that guy, and he showed up, and he's like, there are bears around here, and then we got attacked by a bear, and then and he said, can I take that bear carcass off your hands and feed my family for a week? It's a cool little event. But, as I was saying, you know, I feel like a lot of games want to be cinematic, and I think that might be because that was kind of the avenue in which I think games were getting a lot of mainstream cultural acceptance. At least in terms of expensive liquor. I ran right into a house. That was interesting. But yeah, it was that level of mainstream acceptance. Like, oh, games, you know, it's like playing a movie. But I don't know. I think games can do a lot of other stuff. And there's a lot of games I like that aren't as concerned with being cinematic, but concerned with feeling like experiences or immersive worlds. I think those can be really fun too. All right. So that rambling got us here. Oh, I accidentally skipped it because I clicked off the tab for a moment. I apologize. But If you want to go back and pause and read that, you can. I've already read this, but I'm going to read it out loud. I'm going to read out this second part for you. In the matter of the letter, the Emperor's agent said that he was unable to hand deliver it to the Queen because of the war. He hired a courier who supposedly delivered the letter in his stead. We do not even know the name of this courier. Obviously, this is little information of use, but it would be worthwhile to see whether the letter arrived at Castle Daggerfall at all. How you decide to do this is entirely your decision. I will contact you if any new information should surface. I'm leaving Daggerfall soon. My position here has been compromised and my life is in danger. Do not mention my name in court. It's more likely to hurt than help. Good luck and watch your back, Anita. Okay. Lovely. We're going to get a room for the night. I like this guy. Oh, like a room. That's how I think he talks. But we're going to have some sausage, and we're going to take a good little 8-hour rest here. But my long story short, I think that games can do a lot of things. And all my favorite games try to make you feel as though you are a component of the world. And slowly, maybe you're becoming a more important component, but you're still a component nonetheless. Now, where do we go from here? I think I might just go back to Sentinel, honestly. So, where's actually? We just kind of gotta head south, right, to go to this port. Southwest. Yeah. So, let's head here. We're gonna kind of have just the goal of working our way through to the port. But, I've been taking the opportunity. Oh God, what? I'm taking the opportunity to get attacked by vampires. I've been taking the opportunity to try and play games that are older and dip my toes into some different games that might be still entertaining despite years of existence. I found the thing that I really like about these games is it feels like they are much more concerned with maybe concerned might not be the right word, but they're very understanding of player time. It's kind of to wrap together the big online games and the big cinematic games idea. Both of those games feel like they're kind of like willing to take time, which I don't think is bad. I've played games that have lasted hours and hours, and I've played some games for hours and hours and had a lot of fun with them. But I think the fact that like a lot of games now are really building themselves around, at least by a lot I mean a lot of the games that I've dipped my toes in are concerned with these like 100-hour campaigns. Makes them hard to go back to. Which maybe in itself isn't this horrible thing, but when there's so many of them, it's hard to really feel like they're ever worth revisiting. I'm an RPG enjoyer. I think I've had times in my life when I've liked them more than less. My favorite RPG, like traditional level up turn-based RPG, is Earthbound by kind of a long mile. I'm not gonna look at it for too long. Alchemical solutions. Do I have any alchemical stuff to sell? I very well might. Ingredients? Oh, I still have that unicorn horn to sell. Oof, lovely. Okay. Okay, have any potions while I'm here? Resist poison. I don't like a cure poison. Resist shock, resist water walking, water breathing, heal true. Okay. I want to try to find a general store. Went the wrong way. But those 100-hour campaigns at points can be very, very engrossing. Especially for big turn-based RPGs and action RPGs and stuff. I really liked what I played of the Persona series. if you've heard of it. It's they're very just traditional JRPGs. They're story focused. They have turn-based combat that kind of peaks in the middle, like I think a lot of games do in terms of difficulty. But you know, they're a lot of fun. And one of the things about them is they have these oops, apologies if you heard that. They just have these very long main campaigns. The good news is that a lot of them have a built-in fast forward button if you're replaying it and you're like, okay, I remember what happens here, I don't need to watch it. But you still have to kind of experience a lot of talking and side stuff and whatnot. I've played Persona 3, the PSP version, though not the remake that came out. That's just too expensive. I saw it was on sale and I was excited because I was like, oh, I can get it on sale and maybe it'll even come with the DLCs. But by the time I checked, it was not it's kind of an unreasonable price for a game on sale. Even I think it was like $50-$60 on sale. Not to say I haven't in my day paid a sum of money that I think is too much for a game that I've really liked or wanted. This is coming, you know, all this is coming from someone who still buys the new Pokemon games when they come out, because I have just a very soft spot for the Pokemon series. It's kind of my blind sight when it comes to that. I'll be the first to admit that there's elements of each game that suffer, and I think the new games are they definitely are very unpleasant at a base. Like, there's a lot of things wrong with it that seem very fundamental that I wish would be addressed. But also, you got, you know, I understand that there's an amount of crunch and like any big game now, you know, people aren't being treated very fairly in terms of, like, you know, their work being valued, and the idea that, oh, you know, every game needs to have some crunch time to be good. But you know, it's still too much for a game, I think. Honestly, it's $70 is ridiculous. And honestly, I think if the next mainline Pokemon game is $70 and it doesn't seem to be improving a lot of what it's doing, I might not get it on release like I did with the other ones, just because I'm, you know, it's kind of upsetting when there's something that you like and it seems that it's very unconcerned with you know, the higher ups seem unconcerned with letting it have the time it might need to breed and get better. But anyways, back to the RPG talk. This is like the video game talk episode. You know about what I like about video games. Persona series is really good. I really liked it. It's really fun, especially when you don't know the story, and so when you're sitting through some like long parts that are very story centric, you aren't really bothered. But I think for me, I was replaying Persona 5 because I had it's like a little speck over there. I'm gonna investigate that. I played Persona 5. I played the PS3 version actually because I had an old PS3 that I took out of storage. I'd completed Persona 4 right like kind of early on in COVID. I had a falling out with my high school friends. It was due to like a breakup. I was in a relationship with someone in the friend group, and when we broke up, it kind of just got messy for everyone. And I don't hold grudges really. So I understand that if you're in a situation when you're friends with everyone, but it feels like you know, they're kind of being a bit dramatic about it, and you have to choose a side, that sometimes it's not your side. But anyways, I played Persona 4, and I didn't have a lot of friends at the time. I played it on a call with a friend I had who I moved away from. And it was a lot of fun. I really liked it. It was fun to like dive into a story, and I liked the feeling of like kind of having that big group of friends again. It was a very it's a good game to play if you're feeling kind of lonely. I'd say one of the Persona games. And you're lonely and okay. You're lonely and you don't have maybe you know, you're not spending your weekends going out, hanging out with people or partying, and you kind of feel, you know, maybe you feel left out, or you feel like, oh, I wish I had some people in my life. And I'm not saying that the Persona series is going to substitute real life friends, but you know, if you're feeling lonely and you you like turn-based RPGs, and you want something to kind of help you maybe through a tough time, where you don't feel like you have a lot of people, then I can recommend any of those games for a variety of different reasons. But it felt as though I started with 4, and I think 4 Golden when it came out on Steam specifically, and I think 4 is really good. And then I played 5, and I thought 5 was all right. Wasn't as gripped by the story, but I liked the changes to the RPG. And I played some of it just on my PlayStation 3 by myself. But then my friend, I'd moved back to where I'd moved away from, and that friend and I would hang out in person, and we'd play together, or he'd watch me play. He's a huge fan of the series. And then there was a couple times he'd like stay over for dinner, and my family would cook him dinner. And it was very good. It was a good experience. And I completed the game, and I was like, okay, that was all right. That wasn't as good. But, from what I understood, it's like, okay, well, 4 is really good. And if you want something that's as good as 4, you're not going to get something that's as good as 4. And then I played 3, the 3 portable version. And I was really just blown away by, like, the story. And not as in it's the most deep, complex thing in the world, but it dealt with some topics that I thought were pretty heavy, and it didn't, like, I don't know, it managed to juggle the fact that it was both kind of fantastical and really edgy with some pretty well-written character stuff that I think ended up making the game feel, it almost felt like playing an anime, which I think was the intention, it seems, of the series, that you feel like you're playing through an anime. They even have like the beach arcs, like the beach episodes, I mean, and you're gonna go off and do kind of silly hijinks antics, and there's comedy characters. But I think I didn't see that as much in 4, because 4 to me just kind of felt like an RPG story, and then it made me think about 5 differently. In Persona 5, I think it's just like I think they sacrificed. And I'm not saying that you can't have both these, but what I'm saying is that just for that game, it's like if you're sacrificing some of the great aspects of the gameplay, or you're sacrificing some great aspects of the story and the characters for some better gameplay, and if you're, if you don't particularly care about, the story having these like big, deep ideas and it feeling very like internally strong in terms of like tackling its themes from different kinds of angles with different ideas, then that's okay. Like it'll do you good. But when I was playing the other ones, it really felt like these games were interested in talking about things, even if they weren't like, even if it's not like, okay, this game isn't like gonna be changing the world, but it was still very, it's like interesting. Like, okay, this game wants to talk about these subjects, and this game wants to talk about these subjects, and then 5 is just kind of like, it has a theme, but it has a theme like in the same way that like a birthday party has a theme, which it sounds very demeaning, but it was just really in your face. And not to say that themes can't be in your face. I think good stories can do that, but it was just really to the detriment of the text, I think. To talk about a JRPG in the sense of a text, because I am a nerd. But I think for a game that's going to be very story based and not going to be as, if it's going to take your time up with combat, not with combat, with story, and it's not going to be as like, you can just go and do whatever you want, and it wants you to care about its characters. You gotta think about that story in terms of it being textual, right? And there's just nothing to really stick to. And while the changes to the gameplay were really fun, when you feel like you're suffering through, these long stretches of story, and while it's, in the other games, I think there were those moments of like, okay, this time you just have to study for finals and focus on, and you get some like character moments and stuff, and we're going to spend some time being very concerned with X character's home life or B character's personal world. Those could be really fun, but I think the thing I liked about Persona 4 in particular, that I think did this really well, and Persona 3 did this occasionally, but most of Persona 3 was much more kind of on tracks. But with Persona 4, you could get as into each character's life as you wanted. So like if you didn't like somebody, even if they were a member of your team, you know, you didn't have to actually talk to them. And so like if you really did care about, oh, what is X character's deal and why do they think Y, you could get into it and you could maybe help them grow or unpack their situation, but you never had to. And I think that's kind of a nice thing about it. And it works like kind of like what I like about Daggerfall, where I always feel like there could be a new dungeon, right? It kind of does that, where you always feel like there could be a, someone else to talk to. There's another character's story to explore. And then obviously, like, and with 5, there were characters you didn't have to talk to, but it felt more like, oh, I'm missing out on all the buffs I could be getting. They don't think as how you should be thinking about these characters you're supposed to view as people, as like parts of your main character's life, right? Because if in Persona 4 you didn't want to go do your study, if you didn't want to go be a tutor, that's what it is. If you didn't want to be a tutor for somebody for whatever reason, you didn't have to. You didn't have to explore that avenue of the game. Or if you didn't care about fishing or whatever, which is still, I think, something that's in 5 that you cannot care about. But the point more is that the social character interaction elements of 5, I think, are centered a little bit more around getting buffs, which is cool. But there were times when I think I talked to a character not because I was interested in what was up with that character in their world, but I was interested in their buffs. Which I think is kind of sad, because I feel like the whole point of that kind of game... Am I going to climb this wall? There you go. Like, the whole kind of point with a game like that is that you want to get invested in the characters, and then they kind of reward you with that, or reward you for that, I mean. By being like, hey, here's a cool... here's an upgrade for this character in your party, or here's a cool bonus ability or a new persona you can fuse. Yeah, anyways, I kind of went very off track there. Oh, it's a Zamboni! I went very off track there, but... Oh, I accidentally did slow fall again. So used to that being my heal spell. But... Oh god, no. We are not dying today. We are not dying today. I was feeling brave. I was feeling so brave. I think I had a point when I started, and then I sort of spiraled, and not like spiraled out into something else, but I think that no, the game game seemed less concerned with being as replayable and gripping, I think, as a lot of games that I really like tend to be. And obviously, I think there are exceptions. I've just scratched the surface of it, but the Breath of the Wild sequel, that game is quite fun, and I could definitely see myself getting very deep in it if I didn't have like Daggerfall, or I've been playing Minecraft a lot, honestly, as well. Like, if I didn't have games like that to be as engrossed with, I think that game would eat up a lot of my time right now. But instead of the newest entry in the Zelda series and the 10 out of 10 masterpiece or whatever, I'm playing Daggerfall, which is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. And Horde of Centaurs, okay. But like overall, I just think that there's less consumer interest in the consumer. I mean, where you get the new update for like YouTube on the mobile app or whatever, or the next iOS update, and it doesn't feel like it was made with you in mind as much. It feels like they were trying to think of what are something new features we could do, instead of what would something that someone using this device might want. Which, you know, maybe I'm just old and stubborn, and there's... Where's this arrow person? Oh, there's like 3 of them out there. We're just gonna run. And maybe I'm not as adaptive or as you know, excited about the grandness of modern technology, but I feel like a lot of times there's these updates that just are not as good as what came before, and kind of, you know, brings the question, why are we getting these changes? They're not as enjoyable. I feel like I'm gonna take a quick rest here. Or I might call it a day. This is more of a sort of a, in terms of plot, a 0.5. We got the letter, I guess, but a lot of what we were doing happened early on, and now we're out here at this little temple, and we're talking to this old guy. Refilled our water. So, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. We're going to make our way back to Sentinel, I believe. If there's anywhere you think I should go, please let me know. Honestly, I record these in a very strange order. Right now, I have the thumbnail for 4 and the episode itself done. Or 4, no, for 5. 4 is released. 4 is on the channel right now, but 5 is already done. I'm going to upload 5 shortly after I record this, probably you know, when I wake up in the morning tomorrow, but shake his head. He's like, no, upload them when they're done. No. But I kind of spacing them out. I'm just recording them at weird times, and I want to give myself a chunk of time where I can feel like I'm not just playing Daggerfall all the time, despite the urge to do so. But the reason I said that, I'm sorry, I keep wandering off, as you've noticed. The reason I'm saying that is because if you suggest something, I might not really do it until an episode after the one after. So it'll be like you comment on this episode, which I think would be 6, and then I don't respond to that change until episode 7 or 8, which I apologize for if that's frustrating, but that's just kind of how I'm recording these things. And if someone has a suggestion that I follow, I'll let you know in the comments, or I'll comment, like reply to your comments, say, oh, this is a good idea or whatever, or I'll specifically shout you out in the video. Like if someone says like, oh, you should go to Sentinel and you should search for this castle and it's a really good dungeon, I might check it out. But I'm gonna try to just let things appear in my path as they come, like this guy. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed watching. I'm trying to get my hood up. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time on Daggerfall Ironman. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, I suppose.